Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Mind Shifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce.
To the blackness within you, and the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169. Press 1. That puts you in queue to talk to Michael. Today is our Memorial Day celebration number 281. And we had, for those of you who missed it, go back and listen to our archives on Friday. We've begun doing Aramaic Fridays with Dale Hoffman. We had a really good show on Friday, and we're looking forward to that being a continuance. So welcome, Michael.
Hey, sweetie. Awesome, beautiful day here in Holiday, Florida. Nice to say hello to everybody. Delighted to have you on the show. Delighted to be here to support you, and awesomely blessed to have you here to support us. Why Memorial Day? Well, you know, there's been a lot of people suffer a lot of insanity because of what we're memorializing. And so we're going to change it. And we're going to change it by getting rid of war from planet Earth. And people say, well, of course, that's impossible. It's been around forever, Michael. Just can't be done. Well, it can be done. That's a lie. Please don't buy the lie. It can be done. But it can only be done by individuals who are willing to take responsibility for their lives. So our request of you today is to join us in this project, and that is, if you have any form of hostility or fear in your mind or your body, if you're still capable of any form of hostility or fear, we invite you to stop playing the blame game that somebody else does it to you. And recognize that every time it's happened to you, you've been there. You're involved in your life. So here we are. We're inviting you to take responsibility. And when you take responsibility, then you can choose to forgive. And, of course, forgiveness has nothing whatsoever to do with letting somebody else off the hook for what's going on inside of you. Forgiveness is the tool with which you change what's going on inside of you. So if somebody's conned you into believing that you need to forgive them or forgive yourself, do not believe it. It's not true. That's not forgiveness. That's pardoning. Different game. When you pardon people for what's going on inside of you, you don't change what's going on inside of you, and the insanity continues. When you actually forgive, when you actually learn how to bypass the projections of your mind, the hallucinations of your left brain that tell you the problem is all out there, and you drill down into the deeper parts of your mind, that process is called forgiveness. And what it does is it removes hostility and fear. When we remove all hostility and fear, there's no more reason for war. When a critical mass of people will do that, we're going to change the dynamic, the energetic dynamic of war on planet Earth. So we're inviting you to be part of the team that changed the world and to really, truly step up to the plate and learn forgiveness. So welcome to the show. We're glad you're here. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169. We would be delighted, and blessed if you were to call us, if you had a comment about what we're presenting, if you have a question about what we're talking about, if you've been doing worksheets and you have something to share, if you've been doing worksheets and it doesn't make sense or you need some support, we're here exactly for that purpose. So, Jeanie, do we have any callers? Is there anything happening in the chat room?
No, actually, there is nobody in the chat room, so I'm not sure if I was a split second too late getting on here. Everybody hit a refresh on your browser. because there's not a single person in the chat room, which is very unusual. We have several callers. They're all just listening. Nobody has their hand up. David is with us. I don't see Dr. Tim yet.
Okay, welcome to the show, David.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, Jeanie.
How are you today?
I'm doing very well. We're just preparing, Julie and I have just been preparing, getting things together for the intensives there in Florida next month. It'll be here quickly.
It is moving quickly, and it'll be exciting to have everybody getting together for 2 back-to-back. Why is this happening to me again, intensives? This will be the first time I've ever done 2 back-to-back why intensives. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how the energy builds by doing 2 of those together. And the folks that we've got about, I think, 5 spaces left in the second intensive. And who knows, if that fills up as quickly as the first one did, we may just go ahead and schedule a third one. Hey, who knows? We'll see what happens.
Sounds
but in
good.
any event, we're rocking along. So do you have anything to share, David, on what's happening for you as you do your 5 a day at this point?
Well, my whole process, and when you say something to share with it, the challenge is always about, for me, observing what it is that goes on in my mind, of all of the different stories that my mind has stored in it about anything that my mind is perceiving that is going on outside of me. And focusing a lot on what the illusion of everything is versus what is the actuality of what is that's going on. And so just in staying conscious with it and to be able to process through and to catch myself, whether I'm in a story, and I can always tell if I'm in the story or not if the story begins out with they or them or it or even me, even myself, then I know that I'm just in carbon-based memory, that I'm just in a story, and whatever stories that are connected with it, whatever feelings and emotions and thoughts and beliefs are around that, just reinforce it. So my challenge is always for me to step back and be the observer of what it is that's going on, so that then I can let go of whatever story that it is and to be present with whatever it is that's evolving and going on. So that's really where I'm at.
Very cool. Well, we're getting lots of reports back. We actually just got a really delightful letter from a young man today who's been around the work for about the last 5 years or so, and he had gone through a divorce, a really nasty, mean, ongoing conflict, no conversation, no sane conversation with the former, trouble with children. I mean, just a really tough situation. And he's been to, I think, 3 Y workshops now that we've done while we're here in Florida this last couple of months. And at the last one, actually he came in, he did a mind shifters and still point breathing workshop, and he was asking for support. And he said, well, you've got our support, and here's the best support I can be for you. Lent's coming up. Why don't you do 5 a day for 40 days? And he had never made that commitment before, and he finally said, okay, I'll do it. And it was with great reticence that he did it. And so he's on, I haven't kept track of the days, but whatever day it is, of the 5 a day for 40 days for Lent. And we got an email from him this morning. And last night, for the first time in over 5 years, he and his 2 daughters and his former wife and his current girlfriend and her son got together and had a wonderful dinner last night celebrating the child's birthday. And it had been the kind of situation where Mom was just so enraged with him that he wasn't going to have anything to do with his daughters. And and she just seemed to be doing her best to make sure that it never happened. And it was just, it's like, talk about warming the buckles of the heart. It's awesome. So, very cool process. So it's fun to see what's happening. So if anyone has any calls for us, any questions, any thoughts, our call-in number is 646-200-4169. 646-200-4169. If you'd like to ask a question, give us a thought, share an answer with us. How are your worksheets going? We'd love to hear from you if you're doing the 5 a day for 40 days. So give us a call, 646-200-4169. Anything, any callers?
I guess it works better if I turn my mute on. Nobody's got their hand up. Please give us a call, give us comments and questions. We'd love to hear from you.
Dr. Tim on the show yet? Well, Dr. Tim, we'll hope you tap in to hear your voice. Say hello. And oh, there he is. There's Dr. Tim. Hey there, sir. How do you be?
I'm sorry I couldn't take your call or be on the show on Friday. I was out doing another presentation of purpose and personal power. It had to be shortened for my speakers group, but I was presenting the material, and it went over famously, and directing people to the website, so maybe we'll get more listeners and more people using the tool of purpose, personal power, and commitment. Otherwise, just staying very busy. How are things at your end?
Things are well. We just finished doing a 7-day series, or actually a 6-day series here in Holiday, Florida. We finished up Friday night. We had a play day yesterday. We kind of hung out with Marie and went to the museum and went and did a movie, and so just had a bit of play time. And this morning we did our final packing up. And we're actually on the road. We stopped at a place where we could get a wireless connection. And we're heading to Tampa and then up to High Springs, Florida. Marie's brother has been inspired by Marie, and thank you, Marie, I think being paid by Marie to upgrade our website. And so he's working on doing a kind of a modernization of the tools on the website. I don't know what all kind of new things we're going to have, but it looks like we're going to have several things on the website, and a facelift is going to make it more of an art-oriented website and maintain the functionality. So that's exciting. So we're on our way up to High Springs to spend the next 4 or 5 days with he and his wife. They've invited us to come up and stay with them, and we'll be working on the new tools on the website. So it should be interesting. I don't know whether the site will be ready to go by the end of the week when we leave there, but then we'll leave there Saturday, and on Sunday we start in Boca Raton to do a 6-day series there, and then we'll be back in Tampa to do 7 days there, and then we'll be down in Sarasota, Florida to do a 4-day mini intensive, and then we're on to the 2 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again intensive. So we've got a few weeks of full schedule. And Jeanie, did you have a caller? Oh, well, we lost your caller. If you want to call back, we're here to take your call. And Dr. Tim, what do you have to share with us today?
Well, we have people making lots of progress and getting stimulated to share on the 5 worksheets a day. We also have somebody who used to attend our group on a regular basis who is we're holding her in love because she's got a lot of issues going on physically, and she's in the hospital and having cancer metastasize in a lot of places. So I just got an updated call from another group member asking us to hold her in love, and I thought I'd pass that along, since all the people who do this work know the benefit of the sharing of the loving energy and the power of intention. So for Carol, we ask your positive thoughts and energy.
We'll definitely send our hearts and our love to Carol and hold the space for her, that whatever needs to surface, whatever she needs to process through, she gets to do and gets to come out the other side playing and dancing.
Yep, she's been a stalwart of the work for quite a while and has credited it with much of the positive change in her life over the past 3 years. So we hold her in a space of love and her family as they're going through this. And that's where my thoughts have been most recently, because I just got off the phone with that update. So,
well, we'll definitely hold her in the blessing.
Thank you.
So, Jeanie, do we have any callers? Is that call that we lost, have they called back? We're okay.
So tomorrow we're starting our group back at the original Why Is This Happening to Me again, and going through the entire series again. We finished up with what I think I said, the difference between projection and responsibility communication last Tuesday. And lots of good discussions and worksheets came out of that. So thank you again for that piece of work. And what I found in listening to it and watching that lecture again this last time was that a deepening of my appreciation for the dynamics in the healing through relationship video and the codependence to interdependence video. And for some reason, this last time when I was listening to communication, did you hear what I think I said? I felt like I was grabbing pieces of those old lectures from healing through relationship and codependence to interdependence and applying them to myself in an even more rich way. So thank you for that.
Awesome. Well, the communication workshop is kind of moving in an interesting new direction. Not new, but just a new wrinkle, a new focus on it, and that is that the idea that a lack of communication is a cause of death is one of the things I express in that workshop. And the last couple of times that I've done it, that's become more and more the focus of the workshop, in recognizing the physics of creation and the fact that energy patterns are spread out over space and are potential. And then when something is added to them, that is, an energy is resonated with them, put in resonance with them, then those energy waves collapse and literally produce molecules, literally produce chemicals, or so-called chemicals. And that once we've collapsed, that is, once we go into holding the breath, denial, dissociation, we literally collapse into the cell. Those neuropeptides that become the chemistry of the cell, or what they call the chemistry of the cell. And that it's not until we give permission for that part of the mind to open, and it's our words that give permission, that allow literally that part of the mind that is in the cell, the so-called chemistry in the cell, to become uncollapsed, and that we can remove whatever it is that's at the root of that cellular distortion that we call disease. And recognizing that from a quantum physics point of view, it's really powerful to start to see why people become diseased, and the fact that they're hiding from themselves, the things they don't want to say, the things they don't want to deal with. And, you know, it's interesting to watch people or listen to people who'll talk about, well, you know, I had the perfect family when I was a child. Everything was wonderful, and you know, and our family now is just so great, and, you know, everything's cool. And then actually we were sitting with someone yesterday who does a support group, and they were sharing how someone had come to the support group and spoken of that. And then after about 10 minutes of processing work, was sharing how their child had skipped school, had played hooky one day from school, and described how they grabbed the child by the throat and were choking them, and were just in a rage and punishment because the child had skipped school. And it's like, it's such a dichotomy when we play this game in our heads of, oh, everything's wonderful in my life, but then as soon as somebody violates a goal, like something as simple as this beloved child that is the awesome presence, the love of God 1 minute, and the next minute deserves to be grabbed by the throat and be choked. It's like, hello. But the denial is amazing, and the chemistry in the cell is what prompts the feelings and the behaviors that cause us to go crazy like that. And so what we're looking to do is to create a safe environment where we can uncollapse those things, which is what the forgiveness process does, which is what responsibility communication does, which is what the codependence worksheet does, which is what the breath work does. It's all tied to and geared to how do you do that. So cool. I'm glad it's becoming more applicable for you, sir. And Jeanie tells us we've got a caller. We got 2 callers, so let's listen to our first caller. Say hi.
541, you're on the air.
Welcome, 541. Glad to hear from you. Who are we speaking with?
Hi, Michael. It's Julie. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, there, I put you on speaker. Okay. Well, this is Julie from Ashland, Oregon. And I guess I'll just report that I haven't been doing my worksheet still. I hate to say that, but I am saying that, confessing. And I just, I know that I will, but I think it just feels like too much because I'm pretty aware of a whole lot of stuff that needs to come forth, and it just feels like it is a huge task. And I'm thinking, if I gave myself permission to do 2 a day, it would get me started without it feeling so overwhelming. And then, but I also feel like I'm trying to sell myself on, this will work. And, the bottom line is that I'm not doing them, and it just feels scary, I guess. Scarier than I expected, even though I know it works.
Well, of course, there's a place to perhaps do a worksheet on doing worksheets. There are many people who've done that. There might be a place to do a worksheet or 2 around what is it that I think is in there that's so scary that I don't want to face and don't want to deal with it. And then also, what is it that I don't keep my commitments to myself? I know what will bring me healing. I want to heal, or I say I want to heal, but then there's some part of me that sabotages me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd support you looking at those things and recognizing that the places where you sabotage yourself are the places where there is just awesome and wondrous healing. And know that there's a whole community of folks out here holding the space for you. And it's normal to have the resistor come up, that resistance. No, I don't want to do this. I don't want to look. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to feel it. And then to move forward, and my vote for you would be that you go ahead and, if you're ready to make the commitment, and I'm going to invite you to really, truly make this commitment with the total commitment to keeping it to yourself of doing 2 a day. Great, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
That was opening things and moving things. And if you don't do the 5 a day, you might want to start to look at what kind of power person dynamics you play out on yourself. Do you beat up on yourself? What happens there? And that's the place to become more gentle and just go back to your commitment.
Okay, that's what I was just going to tell you that I've noticed is running me, is the power person dynamics and my addiction to that. That I'm noticing my behaviors are the same ones that I observed my parents doing, so I adopted that as a way of behaving to get along with my power person. And so that's how I'm getting along with myself, and yet it's a dull existence, I must say. So that I have noticed that part, and that's the thing to look at, I suppose. So how would I set up a worksheet? Like, I'm seeing that I'm playing role and procrastinating and not, all of that, and it's an addiction. And do I put that as an object of attention, getting along with my power person?
Well, there are several different approaches and several different places you could go with it. I think I'd start with maybe looking at sabotaging yourself. How does it look like your life to sabotage yourself? Is that something you've done very often in very many arenas?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so sabotage I would put as object of attention, sabotage of myself.
No, I think I'd put myself as the object. So this would be a worksheet on self.
Oh,
and then
okay.
I don't keep my commitments to myself. I self-sabotage. How do you feel about that?
Oh.
When you look at and you think about, I'm sabotaging myself, what are your feelings?
Okay. Well, shame, I would say. Shame,
Okay.
disappointment.
Do you have a worksheet in front of you?
Well, I have a blank piece of paper, so I'm writing an outline. I could get a worksheet.
Okay, why don't you just quickly grab a worksheet? You have it in front of you.
Okay. Well, I'm appreciating that you and I are not giving up on myself, so thank you. Where's my worksheet? Oh, of course, I've conveniently let them become clutter. Isn't that terrible? Oh, gosh, I'm ashamed again. Here it is. Got it. Okay, I'm ready.
So I put your name in as the object of attention. And I sabotage myself. I don't keep my commitments to myself.
That's what I put for 1B, right?
Yeah, the situation. I sabotage myself. I don't keep my commitments to myself.
How do you self-sabotage?
It doesn't matter.
I know. Okay, that's fine. I know. I sabotage myself.
You don't have to spell perfectly. It's okay.
All right. So I just said I simply sabotage myself. I don't make a specific situation. Okay.
And then
or
I'd add a
worksheets,
second
I
thought.
could say.
I'd add a second thought, and that is I don't keep my commitments to myself.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
And then your thought or your feeling was guilt?
My mind tells me that he, she, it, they causes me to feel guilt. Okay, I put guilt in there and shame.
So that would be I.
So that's I. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And then it says use a separate sheet for each feeling. So
yes.
So that could be my 5 worksheets then. Oh.
Absolutely. You'll probably get better than 5 out of this.
Oh, I see. I thought I was supposed to get a blank piece of paper and just keep writing down feelings, but it's for a separate worksheet. Yeah,
yes.
for each. Okay, I got it. Thank you. And then I draw my feelings, and I check the boxes. I release and surrender, number 1A, my story, feelings, thoughts, and punishment to love. Oh, that's powerful. Okay, and the feelings that I drew were dull and bleak. Okay, that came.
Okay. Say it again. There were which?
The dull and bleak.
So they were feelings as well?
Well, I drew the picture. I guess
okay.
I kind of label my pictures too. So hey, 2 more worksheets. Oh.
Yep. There you go.
I'm getting it.
This is called the Hydra effect.
Yes. All right.
Cut off one head and you start to see others.
Okay. Yeah, and I just couldn't get the one going, and then this would be easy and healthy to do.
Now, what I do, Julie, when I do worksheets is I have a stack of at least a dozen in my hand, blanks. I start with the top one, and each little thing that peeks up when I get a piece of it, like I might get, what I was really looking for in a situation or a related situation. So I'll go to, that if I were doing a worksheet on myself, and I go, geez, I really had the goal to be perfect when I was a kid. So I'll go to the second worksheet, and I'll just put my name up at the top as the object of attention. And number 6, I'll put in and that is, I always wanted to be perfect, especially when I was a kid. And then I'll just move that worksheet back to my original one.
Okay, hold on a sec. Number 6, it says, I now feel blank, and about 1B, see that. Okay, so you're saying you actually realize I used to feel that when I was a kid. And you put that where?
Well, if I came up with my goal, it would go in number 3. I'm just using that as an example. If I just actually, kind of as I'm doing my first worksheet, tapped into, yeah, man, I really want to be perfect when I was a kid. That was always my goal for myself. Then I'm going to go to that second worksheet, put my name in number 1A, and then I'm going to go down to number 3 and put the goal. If I said 6 earlier, I made an error, excuse me. I'm going to put the goal in. I always want it to be perfect. And then I'll leave that worksheet, go back to the original, and continue.
Oh, okay. So hold on. I just want to make sure I'm getting this. You put, if you realize when you write your goal in number 3 that that's something that you did, you had a goal, even before you finish the worksheet that you're on, you take that goal and put it on 1B of the next worksheet to do. Is that what you said? You put number 3 from the first worksheet onto number 1B of the second worksheet? Or is it number 6?
If I uncover a goal, as I'm doing the first worksheet, I uncover a goal that I had from a different situation but related to this. I'm starting to see parts of my mind I've been hiding from myself. So I'll just go over to the second worksheet and I'll fill in the piece that I've got. If it happens to be the goal, then I'll put in my name. I'm the object of attention, and I always want to be perfect. So I'll put that in where the goal goes, number 3, on my second worksheet. I'll stop, and I'll leave that worksheet, and then I'll go back to my primary, my number 1 worksheet. So each time, I might find that, as I'm doing the worksheet, I might touch into the thought that, or get in touch with, as I'm looking at this self-sabotage, is, I have this memory surface of my mom and how she always sabotaged herself. I could see that happen as a kid. So I'd now go to a third worksheet, and I'd put Mom. And what's the situation? I remember watching her sabotage herself.
Okay, I see. This really all ties together, and shebang is the process of untying. So we have to actually see how it's tied. So we just follow the paper trail that we're able to grasp and put on paper. Okay.
Exactly. Remember that, the psychologists will tell us that we're aware of perhaps, and I'd say this is a big stretch, 5% of our mental processes. So that means at least 95% is unconscious or dissociated. As you're doing your work, you'll touch into those things. So now I go to that place where my punishment is guilt. And as I write guilt, I might have the memory of watching Mom or remember Mom raging at me when I said, Mom, you said you were going to do this and you're doing that. What happened? So I'm pointing out to her that she sabotages herself. And so that would be, I'm delving in. I'm drilling down into parts of my mind that I normally never look at. And they're the hidden parts of my mind that create my perception, my decisions, and my behavior. And so, it might be now I see, boy, I was terrified about confronting Mom, so now I'm going to go to another worksheet, and I'm going to put Mom as the object of attention. So now I've got a fourth worksheet I'm doing, Mom. And I was terrified to confront her because she used to rage at me when I would.
Okay. So I have a little quick question.
That might be. Oh, hold on. Hold. I want to finish some thoughts here. So, I put that into the worksheet, and then I go back and I look at my original worksheet and go, oh God, no wonder I don't want to do worksheets. If I confront myself, I have to rage at myself. That's what I got. That was my power person's behavior. Man, I'm not going to do these worksheets. I have to confront myself, and then I'm going to get puked on with my own rage, or Mom's going to come and rage at me.
Oh.
You see how those cycles, those dissociated thoughts are all running under the surface, and most people don't ever want to drill down into that because there's too much garbage there. But the beauty is that the garbage only hurts you while it stays in hiding and is garbage. Once you bring it forward in the presence of love, I love what Rumi, 13th century Sufi mystic, says. All pain in the presence of love is medicine. And so here I am looking at this rage my mother used to do when I confronted her about sabotaging herself, and I'm holding a space of love for myself, or I'm on the radio with Michael and Jeanie and David and Terry and Tim and 1,000 other people around the globe holding the space for me in the presence of love. This old rage from Mom becomes a medicine, and I start to heal. This is called forgiveness work.
Okay, so I just didn't quite have the key to get started and go for unlocking it, because like usually I would wait until it just got so bad and I'm so stressed, and then I would finally do a worksheet, and so if I'm really good at getting along with my power person, I would never get to that stimulus so that I could respond, and I would do this more proactively than as the effect of an unwanted whatever's going on, behavior or suffering. So, because, and a lot of the people in our groups say this too, well, I never know what to do a worksheet on because I'm fine, nothing's going on. But now, see, I'm identifying that I'm doing that too, but just trying to get along with my power person. So thank you.
And that's called the dissociated mind. Everything's fine. Nothing going on in my life. Everything's cool. Yeah, well, I just kicked the cat 10 minutes ago, and I, threw a chair at my brother yesterday, but nothing's going on in my life. Everything's just fine.
I know. Thank you. And I do have one more question as to just how to do the worksheet, because I never quite knew when I got to 1E. I want to punish them by and or self by. So I heard you say the word guilt. You just put by guilting them or by pointing out that my mom always sabotages herself, or by being hostile in some way. Like, I think I'm punishing them, right? But it's really... So is that the kind of thing I put in there? Because it's a small blank and I wasn't sure what to put in there.
Which blank are you speaking of now? I lost track of you.
Oh, okay. That was 1E.
Yes. Okay.
So is that where I put, because sometimes I'm not even thinking about punishing them, but I will put something in like avoidance, or, and you used the word guilt.
Yeah. And if you look, the most terrible punishment on planet Earth, people's suicide over this one, is being cut off from connection. It's called avoidance. And when people say, well, I'm just leaving, I'm just not going to have anything to do with them, they say, well, that's not punishment. It's absolutely the worst punishment that you can give to another person. But we dissociate from what we're doing. We call it something else.
Yeah, people call it boundaries, too.
Oh, yeah, boundaries. Yeah, well, I'm going to put a line between you and I.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so but I would still put that in there so as to see it, so as to untie
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's where I put something like that. My behavior, my whatever way I've come up with to deal with the situation, to keep it away from me.
Okay.
My dissociated behavior. Okay. Wow, you helped me a lot because I haven't.
Okay.
Really
Well, we're not finished yet.
Okay.
We're not finished yet. Now let's look at in the situation where you've got guilt going on over self-sabotaging. What's the thought you use? You know, if you tap into that guilt, what's the thought you use to produce that guilt?
The guilt on myself or on the other person? Are we doing my worksheet?
You're doing a worksheet on yourself right now. You're the object of attention. We're not talking about anybody but you.
Okay.
And you said, I have guilt when I self-sabotage.
Oh, okay. Okay, here's a good one. It's something like, I'll get to it when I get to it, and that's loving myself, to just be caring and understanding about you'll get to it when you get to it.
So I avoid by making an excuse that I'll love myself by not doing it. That's a good one. That's a good one. So write it down. Stay with it. Stay with me.
Okay. Okay, I make an excuse.
When we really look, isn't it?
Okay, I make an excuse by telling myself a lie, right?
Yes.
A lie that it's okay, I love you anyway. Oh. Okay, I love you. Oh. I've used that line a lot.
On that breath, take that thought and put it on a fifth worksheet. We've got 4 worksheets now. Take another blank and put it on the 5th worksheet. What was that thought?
Wow. And so by putting it on another worksheet, where do I put that? Which number?
I don't know what the thought was. That's why I'm working with you to practice this, so you know. You don't have to ask me. You know. You've got the brain cells for it. So you had a thought.
Okay.
Listen for a minute. You had a thought that went with that breath. What was it?
Oh, okay. It was something to do with, like, that's what my mom told me, probably.
Okay. Well, I don't want to know the probably. I want you to tap into what that thought was. And
I know I've used that thought, and I've used it as a kind of a forgiving thought of others when really I didn't really mean it. I've lied.
Okay.
I said I love you anyway. Yeah.
So start another worksheet with you as the object of attention, and the situation is I lie to myself and others in order to avoid.
Oh, wow. In order to avoid. And then fill in the blank. Wow. And I would say, 'cause just from listening to you today, just that I'm hiding a lot of rage.
Okay. So now
a lot more rage than I want to admit.
Okay. Now you start a 6th worksheet. Let's go to the next one. Your name is number 1A. I'm hiding a lot of rage from myself, more than I want to admit. You see, now just look, and we actually could have tapped in and done another 4 or 5 in this short time frame. But if you just look, you've got 6 worksheets, all related to self-sabotage and not keeping your commitments to yourself. Do you see what the dissociated mind looks like and how it runs you and why there's so much confusion and just stuff?
And that's why my life feels dull and I'm not getting anything done because I'm just immobilized by it. You know, that's a belief, I know. And I use it as a comfortable excuse.
Hold on. That's not a belief. That's another worksheet.
Yes.
So go to the next worksheet. Myself is the object of attention. I immobilize myself by avoiding my work. I keep myself dull by avoiding my work. Are you breathing?
Yeah. Well, I was also noticing what a cheap replica that is of life. I keep everything uncomfortable at bay, at a distance.
So this is telling you the story of what's going on at the 95% that you never look at in your life.
Okay.
And as you do complete each one of these worksheets, and you know, one of the fun parts of doing this, when you look at it from this point of view, is you don't have to look for situations in your world. All you have to do is just do the worksheets you're doing now and just keep filling in those steps in the others. And you've got, you know, your next couple of days of worksheets.
And you said I don't have to look at something in the world, like things outside myself, because I've already got this stream going with myself. Is that what you meant?
I didn't quite understand that. Say it again.
I'm sorry. You said something about I don't have to even look out in the world anymore for an idea to do a worksheet on. Is that what you said? You meant?
Yeah, I'm just saying out of this one, notice that you've got yourself at least a half a dozen.
Oh, okay. Yes, okay.
And we could have easily done an additional half dozen. So what I'm doing is I'm inviting you to just notice when you're doing one worksheet how much stuff you don't look at and you don't deal with. And if you keep worksheets in hand and you just keep drilling down into it, you'll clear out all that confusion, all that stuff that says, this is overwhelmed, this is too much, I can't do it. It's when you keep this stuff dissociated and never remove it. Remember, forgiveness is about removing content from your mind. If you never remove it, that's what continues and perpetrates the behavior and the confusion and all the games that go on with yourself.
Did you say that's what willingness is to remove the content?
No, that's what forgiveness is.
Oh, that's forgiveness. Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. Thank you for all these reminders. You know, it's great when someone is there to support with clarity when I'm willing to look at that which isn't clear because I can't see it myself until I start. So thank you.
Okay, so now let's do another worksheet. Let's start another one with yourself as the object. With yourself as the object of attention.
Mhm.
And the situation is I can't see with clarity.
Wow.
Good breath. That's the kind of breath that heals. You're right on track. That's awesome.
So that just showed me a content in my mind that I've been believing that's getting more down to the core. And the whole trail of untying that led to it or is related to it dissociatively. Right. Okay.
Cool. Okay. So now finish number one. And what you want to do, if you look in the little box on the right that says draw your feelings, I have the right to start to tell this energy to exit my physiology. I can become the director and tell it to leave. So what I'm going to do is that part in the box, draw your feelings, the lower part of the box, and I release and surrender myself, number 1A, from this not keeping commitments from myself and self-sabotage, the feelings of guilt, and the thought that I need to keep my life hidden from myself and punishment. So now, if you just go through those steps, what I'm going to invite you to do is to complete that little box and just do verbal release. And as you build this skill, this is a skill set that you build through practice, you're telling these energies to leave. You have the right to tell them to exit your temple. And these are the money changers. You know, if you look at the story of the money changers, the money changer is symbolic of the transmutation of one event into another. So an event happens, I don't do a worksheet, and I end up in dullness. Just to use that as an example. So that's a transmutation of energy. That's taking the energy of, I didn't do this, so now I create my life being dull. That's what the money changers were symbolic of. They changed one form into another. So all the unconscious dynamics that we hold change one event into a different event inside of us. So I can end up, let's say, for instance, one of the things we uncovered is with Mom. So I can end up in rage at myself over, I didn't do a worksheet. And that's a money changer. That's symbolic of this whole unconscious automatic process that happens inside of me that turns this event of, in my head I say, I didn't do a worksheet, but that's okay, I love myself. But under the surface, what's going on is self-rage. That's a money changer. And what Yeshua was teaching, the money changers in the temple, and there's a story about this rage that went on that Yeshua did, and because he used a whip, or at least that's what we're told. But in fact, it does not say that in the Aramaic. What it says, the word that was used to describe that was translated by the Greeks as a whip was the word priglet, which would be a little broom that you'd go into the house and sweep chickens out with. So you're going in with a cleansing tool, a gentle cleansing tool called forgiveness, but you're going in with enthusiasm, clarity, and power into your own temple.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying to these things, I release. I'm directing this energy out of my field so that tomorrow, if I don't do a worksheet, I don't have to go through this whole unconscious transmutation where I wonder why I'm raging at myself or somebody else. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and I have been watching it each day as I don't do my worksheets. I have been watching myself layer on all kinds of whatever punishment thoughts and bad thoughts and it's okay thoughts and just that whole thing, whereas if I would just do the worksheet, it would clean it up.
Right.
But
You're laying on yourself all of the money changers.
Yeah.
That's what Yeshua was doing when they go in and he overturned and he threw the money changers out of the temple. The temple is your own physiology, and it's all these things that go on, the 95% under the surface mind that we never look at, and all these things turn into, in the cell, rage in the cell is the deterioration of the cell, and that can turn into 1,000 different diseases. Guilt in the cell turns into 1,000 still different diseases, different parts of the physiology. And he was saying that this temple is not a home for these sorts of things. It's not designed for that. This temple is designed to embody this awesome human life we were given. But we've filled it. We've made it a den of thieves. We've filled it with all these things that steal from us, our intelligence, our capability, our awesome being, which is love. And by going in with enthusiasm, clarity, and power, you remove these money changers from the temple, and all of a sudden, you don't have all these unconscious dynamics going on anymore. This is what was being taught 2,000 years ago, was how to clean this stuff out. But the Greeks turned it into some sort of religious ritual rather than showing people how to get free of what had been purposely instilled in them to keep them under control by the authorities. And so as you learn to do your own work, you take these things out that the authorities used to control you. Remember, very, very likely you can remember going back at a very young age and your mother just had to turn her head the right way. And boy, you were totally controlled, right? Those money changers were in there. Man, all she had to do was turn her head the right way and your behavior went, boom, right into what she wanted. And they're the money changers that need to be removed. That's why you want to go in and do 5 worksheets a day for the rest of eternity to keep clearing this stuff out because it's so generational. This is called, getting rid of the old generations. This is how do we get out of this unconscious condition or this desert, as it was called in the ancient teachings. So how about doing the verbal release? You're going to tell these things that you've identified a number one to leave. So we've only got a few minutes left, but I want to go through as much of the worksheet as I can. I at least want to get to what your real goal is here. So how about just doing that step up? I release and surrender myself, number 1A, and then release your story, release your feelings, the thoughts, and the punishment. How about just doing that now out loud, if you would?
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Okay, I release and surrender number 1A, my story, that I sabotage myself and I don't keep my commitment to myself, and my feelings of guilt and shame, and the layering of the money changers that turns it into dullness and bleakness, and
Good.
my thoughts, I release lovingly and surrender my thoughts that, where are they? That I avoid. Wait, no, I don't remember my thoughts now. I wrote them somewhere else. My thought that I
use self-sabotage to avoid dealing with my life.
Oh, yes, I use sabotage to avoid dealing with my life and getting my work done, right? The work I really want to do.
Yes.
And punishment, I release and surrender the punishment of further avoidance and guilt and shame.
Good.
And rage.
Good. Beautiful.
Okay.
Good. And as you practice with that step, you start to develop the skill of being able to throw things out of your temple that didn't belong. Then you want to go to number 2. Notice that up until now, all these stories you've been telling you about, you've been believing the lie. So what happens is our mind generates an image, a picture that is not true. We call it truth, and by doing that, in that little tiny framework called our conscious awareness, by calling our lie truth, we become blockers of truth. So the antidote to that is the first step in number 2. I choose to love truth.
Oh, okay. I choose to love truth.
I choose to love truth.
Mm-hmm. You want me to say that?
Say again?
Shall I say that out loud?
Yeah, I choose to love truth.
I choose to love truth and willingly face and process all disease-producing energies for or from my relations, my generations.
All my relations. Yeah.
All my relations.
All my generations. Okay. Now, if you just for a moment, I find it really useful when I'm doing worksheets for me to just stop and contemplate. I wonder how long in my bloodline, how many generations have fooled themselves, tricked themselves into all of these same dynamics. Like how many people in my generations have done exactly what I did in number 1? And my answer is almost invariably, oh my God, I probably can't count that high. Mm-hmm. And so I use it as a step to just say, okay, and I'm willing to enlarge my true being. I'm willing to have my true being love get big enough to take all of this and start to dissolve it for all of my generations, to let it loose for everybody in my bloodline, as far back as it goes, which means probably 1,000 generations.
Wow.
So just to imagine, you're holding your newborn self, which is this awesome presence of love, and you're strengthening and enlarging yourself to be able to embrace these generations. And then I willingly go through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing. And I'm not going to spend much time there because we're down to about 60 seconds. So, but just quickly, if you would, I willingly go through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing.
I willingly go through the physical, mental.
I need for you to say that.
I am saying that, and I do know what it means. I have that one memorized.
Okay. Now I want to complete it with a goal. What's your goal here? We're going to skip the outro for the show.
Okay.
What is it you really want from yourself? If you look back in number 1, what is it you really wanted for yourself?
Okay. I want to be connected and committed to myself, connected to Source and
all
committed
right.
to myself.
That sounds really solid. You're right on track. Okay, so fill that in number 3. I want to be connected, and you really had emphasis on the word, and committed to myself. You're right on. That's it. Awesome. Okay. So there's your goal. There's the core and the crux of this thing.
Oh.
Connected and committed to yourself.
Yes.
And now, without spending much more time because we're just about to close, now you're going to move forward with the rest of the worksheet. And in number 5, cancel that goal. And you cancel the goal so that you can collapse the projection of all of this fraud that your mind has been doing on you, and you can touch right into the core of what this self-sabotage is about. And if you'd be willing, I would love it if you would call us tomorrow and share the rest of the worksheet with us first thing in the show, if you can.
Okay, I will. I'll do it now. Thank you. And I'll call tomorrow.
Hey, absolutely awesome. Thank you. Blessings. Everybody have the best year yet of your eternal life. Bring a stranger to the show tomorrow. Bye-bye.